Okay, now for all the cool kids who stuck around, let's get into it. This is our spoiler full heavy review of Star Wars Visions. We are going to break down each individual episode, what we loved about it, how it went, all those fun things. If you are just tuning in now, we are the Lords of Lore. Myself, Luca, and Cam. We do a show here every Tuesday where we talk about something nerdy or fantasy or sci-fi oriented, and then we do interviews and book reviews and RPG games on Fridays. So if that appeals to you, follow us around. We talk about Star Wars a lot too, so come hang out. Anyways, let's just get straight into it. We had already given our scores, which we will repeat here, but going forward, I want to score each episode as well.
Yeah.
So we give this, we gave the whole series, we all gave it 8 out of 10. So just know that's where we're coming from, mostly positive. But we had hinted earlier that there was some episodes that at least a couple of us were not fond of. So let's get into it. The first episode was The Duel. Now, for audio listeners, won't be able to tell this, but anyone watching the video, you'll see The Duel is the one represented behind Luca. So why don't you start us off with your feelings of this episode?
Well, this was my favorite episode of the series. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Ooh.
I loved the animation style. I loved the soundtrack for it. And the fact, like the way it tells the story, like it's a classic samurai feeling. Like it's very, very heavy, like samurai movie vibes.
Yeah, it had a lot of like Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven vibes, like in the beginning before the main character gets involved. It's like, super cool.
Like the scene where he's like walking to the fight, like through all the laser fire, just like not even like moving his arm, just like casually walking through the fighting, like super, super cool. And the fight itself was one of the coolest fights in all of Star Wars. Like, and we've never seen two Sith fighting like that.
Well,
I have not seen two Sith fighting.
It's actually interesting. On screen, Star Wars never happened. No two red lightsabers have ever clashed on screen in a Star Wars movie, by my recollection. So take that.
In the movies for sure, yeah.
In the movies for sure, but the one I can specifically remember from an animated series was Palpatine and Darth Maul at one point in Clone Wars, which is one of the best fights of all time. It's so sick.
Good.
But yeah, I sort of wish they kept the reveal of the Ronin character's red lightsaber out of the trailer.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that was in the trailer.
Okay.
So I was very surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised when I watched it, but retrospectively, I remembered like that they put it in the trailer. But like when I was watching it, I was like, "What?" But now, like this scene was like my background was part of the trailer.
Yeah. So like I remember that going into it, so I was just like waiting for it to happen. But I sort of wish I had never seen it. I guess I could have just not watched the trailer, but like things like that sort of bug me when they're like pretty big reveals, because obviously like the way he comes at the invading force is very like honorable and I think people even say, are you a Jedi? And then he pulls out the red saber. And it's like, whoa, wait a second.
At the end, like that ending was like one of my favorite when they were like all thanking him, like, oh, you must be like one of the honorable Jedi. And then like casually takes the red lightsaber out and breaks like other Sith's saber and takes the kyber crystal. So
which
like,
he has
see
a
that he's
bunch
like
in his jacket.
Them.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing. This episode can actually fit into canon. But one of the weird things about it, let me just get this right. Based off the helmet designs of the stormtroopers, they were first order stormtrooper helmets, not Imperial stormtrooper helmets. So this would, in that, with that logic being applied, would have to take place during the sequel trilogy or afterwards. Which I think is interesting in that there were two people wielding red lightsabers after the events of the sequel trilogy. So maybe not canon at all. There is a book coming out about this character.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Which I will be reading. But
Yeah.
So that sort of threw me off, and that I was like, when is this supposed to be taking place? But it was so good, I didn't really question it too much. But just a little bit of background info. It used to be in Star Wars canon that red lightsabers crystals were synthetic kyber crystals. They weren't the real deal. But now in the new canon, they're actually normal kyber crystals, and a dark side force user bleeds the crystal. That's what it's called. So you take a green or blue lightsaber crystal, and if you apply dark side force magic or dark side force into it, it turns red. So I don't know. I thought it was weird because I always have that old canon brain going of like synthetic kyber crystals. I was like, why has he got so many? Like he's hunting Sith, but like then it's like those could be Jedi crystals the same, and he's just putting dark side force into them. So they might be changing on their own accord, which I thought might be an interesting thing that might get brought up in the novel as well. But I'm ranting. Go ahead, Cam. What do you think of the episode?
Oh no, yeah, it was super rad. Like as soon as it started, I was like, this is Kurosawa. Like as well as like just coming off of Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like, oh man, ready for that samurai, baby.
Yeah.
And one thing that like I didn't super vibe with was a little bit the animation style. I'm not a huge fan of like CG anime, but as the episode went along, I like grew more accustomed to it, and like I like the animation was super smooth, so I was very happy with it. Also, I'm a whore for character design. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like when her like full design is revealed, like the enemy, like where her mask is like cut off and like she takes off like the cloak or whatever and like reveals her hair, I was like, she's so cool.
Yeah, me too.
Like how he defeats her was super smart. I was like,
to me was showing signs that he's not a Sith, because her thing was being like, fueled by rage the way Sith are, and so she's not being patient enough to actually survey her surroundings, whereas he had like the forethought to be like, I know that, and that's how I'll win. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
He really felt like a Ronin, like he didn't belong to, he's not a Jedi obviously, but like he didn't feel like a Sith in all of his behavior. And I just have to mention, like, I love the fact that in the very first scene, his droid has a samurai hat on.
Yeah. It's so good.
There's also at the beginning, there's like Aurebesh, which is like the in-universe language, basic language in Star Wars, and it was like in a Japanese like font.
Yeah,
and I was like, cool.
It looked like kanji, right? Like it looked like it was brush stroked onto the screen.
Yeah, it was super cool. That was the first note I wrote down watching the show. Nice. Japanese Aurebesh, like super cool.
Speaking of,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Luca. Did you guys watch it with Japanese audio as well? Okay, good.
So
I was gonna
subbed.
Most episodes, all but one episode, I watched with Japanese audio and then English subtitles, which need to be better on Disney Plus if we're being real.
Oh my gosh,
because they have like not just what's being said, but what's happening. And I didn't know how to change that. So and as far as I was able to find, you're not able to. So but there was one episode that just didn't have subtitles when I turned them on. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I
think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
But honestly, the specific episode didn't bug me at all, because
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this one, like you said, Kurosawa, and then the red and the green laser fire contrasting the black and white, very heavy Afro samurai vibes, especially when she reveals her hair. I was like, yes, I love it. This one, Luca, I think you said 9.5. I'd go with probably like a 9, because I loved it, but I still have so many questions that I can't wait to read the book. But yeah, it was pretty close to perfect for me.
I didn't score it, but yeah, 9 as well.
Nah, awesome. Oh, I also loved when he gave the crystal to the
chief,
kid, like to defend yourself, and it wards off evil. I was like, what does that mean? Like, how?
To
that's
me,
not how
I
it
read
works.
that more like it would like if he makes a lightsaber out of it, he could like protect his village just from the fear of seeing a red saber.
Yeah, but it's funny too because like the Sith historically cannibalized themselves, right? With the rule of 2 and everything.
Mhm.
Like, so your possession of dark side abilities or a red lightsaber is almost putting yourself in danger.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I thought that was super interesting.
Also, I just thought it was a super cool thing. Like if you watch his droid, like it freaks out at a couple points in the story. Like the first time it does it is when the village is attacked and he does nothing.
Yeah.
And then the second one was when he gave the kid the crystal. Like the droid was like freaking out in the background. So that was like a cool touch. And then the droid has like its own full personality. Even like the guy comments on it at the start when he says like, oh, like a Ronin traveling alone, and the droid's like beep beep beep, and then the guy's like, oh, you must have like oh, sorry, you're not alone. Like you have like a gracious master who like acknowledges him as a companion type.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed that little dynamic, even though it was like very subtly thrown in there.
Yeah, I love those characters that their moral compass only gets called into question by their like companion. Like even Han Solo to a certain extent is the same way. But R2D2 a lot of the time, it's just like beep, 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 and C3PO is like, oh yeah, I'm a dick. I love that. So yeah, 9.5, pretty excellent episode.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to episode 2, Tatooine Rhapsody. Cam, I bet you could imagine this one struck a chord with me.
Oh, absolutely.
As a huge fan of pop punk and Star Wars. I was like, yes. At first, like, so I think the weird thing about the anthology, like the nature of this show, is that we go from something that's super serious and super lore heavy, or has little hints and ties to lore that we know, to go into something like this, which is like, okay, it's Order 66. This kid falls into a van and it's a rock star's van and he becomes a rock star. It's like so simple, but like at the same time, it was so anime and Star Wars. I loved it. I absolutely love this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I love the songs. I love that their name's Star Waver. Everything about this. I was surprised by the end of this episode. I was like, okay, that was cool. And then like, as time passed, like a day later, I was like, yeah, but I want to see more of that. Like, I was surprised by like how much I enjoyed it. And I was like, I want to see him actually ignite that lightsaber. Like, I want that to actually happen. Anyways, what were you guys' thoughts on Tatooine Rhapsody?
I didn't really care about it, honestly. Like
I'm not surprised by that at all.
I didn't like the animation style from the get-go. The music, well, I don't know if you guys, was this the episode that you didn't get the subs for?
No, I got it for this one.
Okay, well, I don't enjoy English singing in Japanese, like Japanese voice actors singing in English.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's funny, but
it's my favorite. Like
it's funny, but I don't need in a 9-episode thing an entire episode of that. You know, like I really don't care. So yeah, to me, this episode was, if not the worst, close to, just because like, I mean, it had no Star Wars. It was about a rock band. Like, I don't care. It was like, and then like the conclusion being like, Jabba the Hutt sponsor us. Like, okay, like, all right, let's move on.
I love it because it's like the parallel between like Luke in episode 6 being like, Jabba, I give you one last chance to, or you're gonna die here, type of thing, whatever he says. Free us or I'll kill you. That like contrasted to this, like, sponsor our band.
It was funny, just like, I wish it was better than it was.
Fair enough.
Like, I would have replaced this with any other episode.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Wow.
Like,
I do not feel the same.
I would like, give me plot, Star Wars related plot, not like a rock band trying to, like, what was that guy? He was like a Jabba the Hutt too, like their bass player?
See, I thought there was going to be a big lore reveal here because I don't think either of you have seen it, but there's a Clone Wars movie, and it deals with the capture of Jabba the Hutt's son. I think Rada the Hutt. They call him Stinky in the movie. Don't ask me. I didn't make it.
Oh, that movie's not good, but it's so good.
See, it's not good when you see it, but when you watch all of Clone Wars, which is a pretty tall task, it's sort of in context. It's really, it's fun. It's good. But that character sort of never comes back up in canon. And now that there's such a hyper focus on canon and Dave Filoni being part of the overall, like the bigger sort of broader story team now, I'm just waiting for Rada the Hutt to come up in a different context and like totally throw people off. Like, yeah, you should have seen that Clone Wars movie in 2008 or whatever. So I was like, oh shit, Rada the Hutt became a fucking rock star bass player. And then it was like somebody totally different. I was like, fuck. Would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think he was like his cousin or something like that. Just just kind of like a regular old Hutt. But yeah, I have to disagree with you, Luca. This one had probably like one of my favorite like art styles of it. Like it was super like cute and like chibi, and seeing Boba Fett as like this cute little like guy.
Oh yeah, like, Boba Fett was in this.
Yeah. Yeah, there's your Star Wars like tie-in.
Yeah, I totally forgot he was in that scene. Like,
I mean, he said the same amount of stuff that he said in the original trilogy. But this was a big hit for me. I really enjoyed the music as well. And I totally agree that I want to see a sequel to it of them just like traveling around the galaxy and like getting to do their like full set eventually. And just getting into shenanigans. Also, again, with character design, the drummer had my favorite character design of just like 3 like heads and everything, and just like with the drum set.
Like what
I don't think we've ever seen that type of alien in Star Wars either.
No, yeah.
Because it'd be a nightmare to live like that. Like 3 torsos with one set of legs. Like anytime he's sitting down, one of them's facing the back of the seat. Like
it's fine. One of them was like
it makes going to the bathroom pretty difficult, I guess.
Yeah. But and like when they get in like the bar fight kind of thing, and he's like throwing punches and like his whole torso is spinning.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool. But yeah, so I'd probably give this one an 8.5. It wasn't as good as the first one, but like
for sure.
It was still really fun.
Yeah, I'd probably sit this one at about a 7. I can definitely see where you're coming from, Luca. This one felt childish. Like this felt like a filler episode of an anime, if that's
exactly
fair. But I loved it because it was like, this is Star Wars and this is anime. And that's what we asked for. So for me, it was like, yeah, like if they were making a Star Wars anime movie and it was this, I'd be like disappointed. But as a single episode, I was like, yeah, like I really like that was fun. And then the more I thought about it after, I was like, I would like to see that character take that typical anime arc of being this fucking, can't do anything for themselves, failing character up until like I have to redeem myself as a Jedi. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, they did the shonen anime genre with we want to be the best band in the galaxy kind of thing.
I saw someone draw like a comic about this episode, and it was like Boba Fett like years later with Fennec Shan, and they're like in a ship, and she's like, what the fuck are we listening to? And he's like, come on, it's Star Waver. this is fucking terrible. Why are you playing that? But I am actually a sucker for anime pop punk, especially. So I can get where you're coming from, Luca, but I don't agree.
Yeah, I mean, if this season was 20 episodes and this is one of them, I'm not mad at that.
Right.
But like 9 15-minute episodes and this is one of them, it's a waste to me. It's a waste of a slot in the season. And I would personally give it like a 5.5, maybe 6. Because I didn't hate the ending. Like once I got over the animation style and I got used to it, like I didn't hate it as much. And then, I was like, I wanted them to save their bass player. Like I didn't want him to die, so I was like moderately invested in them saving him. And I like the little robot they had, like she was cool. when she played the guitar, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 6.
Yeah,
I'll give
it was fun. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I
Fair
don't
enough.
hate it. I don't
Yeah.
hate it, but I wish it was something. Like if the season was longer, it'd be fine. But
Yeah.
it's a 6 for me at most.
Also, I think that kid, he used his lightsaber as his microphone.
As a microphone, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought so too.
Yeah,
I
so
thought he was gonna like pull it out and do something with it, but
Mhm.
didn't really.
Yeah. I like see that's what I mean though. I want to see more because I want to see where it's like actually it doubles as a microphone and a lightsaber. I just have to flick this switch in like the most Star Wars way. Like a character in Star Wars Rebels, Ezra Bridger, has like a fucking slingshot attached to his lightsaber at one point. Like, you know, just ridiculous nonsense. But like, yeah, felt that type of way. Okay, yeah, let's move on to episode 3, the twins. Okay, so I was gonna make you guys guess which episode I hated, but I'm gonna tell you right now it was this one. This episode was cool, man. Everything was over the fucking top. There was 2 Star Destroyers connected together. That's so Star Wars being like, what's worse than 1 Death Star? 2. You know, what's worse than 1 Star Destroyer? 2 of them put together.
I mean, to be fair, that's the entire plot of the first like 4 through 6 movies, and then 7 through 9 again. Like literally 7, 8, 9 is like destroyer. They destroy it. It's 8, another one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this like as soon as I saw that Star Destroyer, I was like, that's funny. That's fucking so dumb. Like we can't design new things, we just make the same things bigger. Yeah, but like I love the aspect of like we were 2 twins born to the dark side of the Force in that Palpatine Snoke dark Sith magic fucking weird science shit. Love that. And they're like a parallel to like Luke and Leia. That's awesome. But then it just gets into just way too over the top to me. Like as soon as this guy gets shot out of the air and he's like breathing and having full ass conversations in space for like 20 minutes, I was like, what's going on? Like I thought that would be like a 1-second snippet of like, or like he might have like a helmet on, but as soon as it was like, sister, don't do this, like, you know, I was like, what? What the fuck? Oh yeah, I couldn't do it. Or even if they would have had like a little thing at the beginning of the episode that was like, yes, this double Star Destroyer actually has its own airfield around it. Like something that simple, I would have been like, yeah, okay, I'm in. And I probably would have really enjoyed it. But it just reminded me of Leia in space in fucking Last Jedi. Mary Poppins back to the ship. And I was like, I can't let it go. I really want to like this because it's beautiful, but I can't get past this.
Yeah.
And this is by Trigger as well, right, Caps?
Yes.
This is one you were looking forward to?
This is one that I was really looking forward to. Again, I enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of like Kill la Kill a little bit with like the art style and everything like that. Just like kind of like flat animation kind of thing, and just like insane like power levels going up and everything like that. Yeah, I have like the 2 Star Destroyers being connected with like a cannon that was just like equivalent of a Death Star was insane and super cool. What else did I write? Oh yeah, also the insane like just power armor that they had, and just how one of them went, I don't feel like being a villain anymore. I'm gonna save the galaxy. So like, yeah, it felt very like we need to tell this story fast and quick.
Yeah.
So this was one that I felt like was like a little rushed, and I was a little surprised by Studio Trigger with this.
Yeah, I agree. Like with you, Matt, the whole sister, don't do this, like that whole anime feeling. I didn't like it. I loved the fight animation though. The twin Star Destroyer into a Death Star, that's Star Wars. Like that is just pure Star Wars. Like it's zero originality. Like just repeat what we did the last time. Like that just 100% like that is the sequel trilogy. They'll just like reuse everything we already did. So
Yeah,
that I was honestly, if anything, this is like borderline cooler than what the sequel trilogy did. Like two destroyers together instead of they were like, oh, it's a whole planet that's this Death Star this time. Like, shut the hell up, you stupid idiots. Like, but yeah, like not my favorite because of all those like talking points and the like when he saves her, she's like, oh, you think I'm afraid to die, you fool. Like that, but that also felt very anime.
Yeah. So yeah, this one was tough for me because it was sort of like bridging the gap. Like it was very over the top anime as well as very over the top Star Wars together. And I was just like, I couldn't reconcile both of them at the same time. It was like it had to be one or the other. Yeah.
Like too much input.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching this and my girlfriend was like laying next to me and she was sort of like on her phone. And I remember watching the episode and like I had to pause on the other episode before I started it. And she was like, yo, what's up? I was like, that was a lot. That was weird. I don't know.
No, it's funny. I actually took a break after that one too.
Yeah, it was just like a little too much all at once type of thing. There was some cool aspects though. Like I think ever since like episode 7, freezing blaster bolts in the air has become like everyone's like, why don't they do that all the time? It's like, yeah, why don't they? Even in the duel, him freezing the lightsaber between his hands is super cool.
Super cool.
But yeah, this one he does it with stun bolts, which we haven't seen before. That was original.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then I did like the part of their conversation when they were like, kyber crystals are a beacon of hope, and he was like, no, it's the doom of the galaxy. That was very metaphorical to me of like the Sith and the Jedi both having access to this power. It's just your perspective on it is what makes the philosophical shift. It's not objectively good or bad, the Force or the kyber crystals. It's all sort of like, who's wielding it type of thing. So I like that. But it was interesting because like she was saying it's a beacon of hope and she was the evil one and he was like, no, it's evil. So I thought that was a cool, from a certain point of view, type of Star Wars approach to things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when he like lightsabers the bottom of the Star Destroyer, that action is straight out of one of the new art books from the sequel trilogy, like the art of, I think it's Force Awakens or probably Last Jedi.
I was going to say Last Jedi has that. Yeah. Through the Death Star thing.
Yeah. So
or Death Star.
Like there's a concept art of like Rey holding up a lightsaber flying underneath the bottom of a Star Destroyer, which makes zero sense, to be honest. Like if the walls of the hull of the Star Destroyer is only a meter, like I don't know if it makes sense. It's like, yeah, I think we scraped on that mountain when we flew in. Like, I don't
We're
know.
dead.
But yeah, if I had to score this one, I'm sorry, I got to give this one like a 5 out of 10. It was, I don't know, maybe if like it was like only sort of anime and super Star Wars, or super anime and just sort of Star Wars, I would have been like, if this whole battle took place like inside the Star Destroyer, I probably would have really enjoyed this. I just couldn't get past the fact that they were breathing in space. It didn't sit right with me for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And why did he have an X-Wing? He was a bad guy. They don't have X-Wings. They're like outdated tech. Super outdated. Like, yeah, I don't fucking whatever. Yeah. Well, how would you score this one, Cam?
I'd probably say 6. Like, yeah, I totally agree with what you guys are saying, and as you guys are talking more about it, I think I'm taking off like the rose tinted glasses. No, like I totally agree. It's like I thought it was super hype, which like is a big thing that I look for in anime, is like how dope it can get. So like I think I was like riding that for like a while, and I was like, oh man, that was so cool when like she had the Doc Ock lightsaber arms and everything. I was like, oh, so. But yeah, like as soon as you said like if this fight was like happening like through the Star Destroyer, that would have been so cool. Like just like bouncing from room to room kind of thing. Like,
Right.
yeah, I totally agree that there are like better ways that they could have went about it. I loved just how fucking anime it was. But yeah, like probably a 6.
I honestly give this a 7 just because of how good the fight scenes looked. Like I can forgive the the breathing in space. I noticed it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the conversation, but like honestly, the fact that this came after Tatooine Rhapsody might play a part in that, because I was like, okay, we're back in real Star Wars. Like we're back in fighting and using the Force, and like this is what I wanted to see, like animated Star Wars. That might play a part into why I actually enjoyed this a bit more. So yeah, I would give it a 7.
Nice. Okay, let's move on into The Village Bride. So yeah, I can't remember which studio this one was by. I'll look it up real quick.
Kinema Citrus.
Nice. Do you have them all listed there? I'll just refer to you. Awesome. I'm like scrolling to like my Disney Plus. I couldn't find it. Anyways, this is the one where I wrote, "This is Star Wars" in big capital letters. Because yes, this is like, for me anyways, this is how I view Star Wars. High fantasy meets samurai film. Like, I don't know. I remember when we did an episode about the Force, which if you haven't seen that, you can check that out. But we talked about, there's a book called The Legends of Luke Skywalker, and he visits different places, and each place he goes, there's a different name for the Force, but it's all the same unifying idea. I think one place it's called the Tide, another place it might be called the Mist, but still like this force around them that, the way the Force works surrounds, binds, it's within everybody, blah, 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 whatever Yoda said. And so like the way that the people of this planet treat this planet, that they're all sort of in tune with the Force, and they can even see the history of this planet by connecting with this monolithic thing. Just like, and they didn't explain any of it. And that was perfect. I was like, yeah, science fiction fantasy. That's it right there. Monolith thing with the planet's memories. Cool. And then like also there being like this culture sort of ingrained into it of like, yeah, the bride can't have dirty feet on the wedding. Just that whole aspect. And then throwing in the Star Wars lore of like, yeah, the Separatists left all their droids here. They're still operational. And this group of bandits took them, and now they're, like a militaristic force that's, taking over the planet. I was like, that's Star Wars. And then to see like this Jedi character being conflicted with, should they reveal themselves or not? We get the timeline based off the battle droids. We know this is in the dark ages between episode 3 and 4, that 19 years of no Jedi and just complete imperial control. I was like, yes, this is everything I wanted in a Star Wars anime. We get the cool Force aspects. We get to see these far-flung planets we've never heard of with their own cultures and traditions. And then we get to see Jedi. And I don't know, for me, that was like perfect to a T. This is what Star Wars should be in an anime form. Cam, how'd you feel?
Yeah, I got like super Princess Mononoke vibes from this episode a lot, with like just like the planet and everything, and like all of how connected and in tune they all were with nature and like the Force.
Right.
I wrote down one of like my favorite quotes because it felt like it came out of nowhere, but it hit so well. It was like, the sun rises much before like we're born, and it'll set even further when we're gone.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
But it was like the start of this conversation between the bride and her sister kind of thing. And I was like, who starts a conversation like that?
I got super existential when I heard that. I like started
cuddling
cuddling my girlfriend. I was like,
wasn't that the bride and her groom talking?
Oh, was that?
I believe it was like when they're up by the monolith thing.
Yes,
looking
that's
out.
right.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that says it.
Okay, yes. It was very late when I watched this, so I might have been falling in and out of, but yeah. And her design as well, the Jedi's design with like the mask and everything was super cool.
And her fucking rocket shoe fucking things.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
cool.
man, when her shoes like moved and she
Yeah.
just did the burst. That was the one thing about this episode that I wish was like a little bit more, was like that final fight. Like it was just kind of like a quick and then like it was like,
Yeah.
oh
See, but
man.
that's very samurai to me.
Oh
Whereas
yes.
like, and there's a quote in this episode where it's like, war is nothing but loss. So I felt like it was really cool to be like, this like war is like a quick thing and then it's over and then you deal with it afterwards type of thing. There's scenes in like other animated Star Wars projects like Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul in Star Wars, spoilers if you haven't seen that, Star Wars Rebels, where like their fight is super quick, very different from their initial fight in the Phantom Menace, and it's more like world men, more decisive type of thing. This reminded me of that a lot.
Yeah, which I think that one was like more satisfying to me because it was like these characters that like we've seen like grow throughout like all this time kind of thing. And this is like this brand new character who like is just showing what she's made of. But like, yeah, I was like, I want to see more of her. This is one that I really want a sequel for as well.
Yeah.
Just her finally like taking on like her role of Jedi Knight after she cut her Padawan braid off. I was like, ooh, yes, go.
Oh, I love that. I
Right?
love all the, it's weird too, because this era of between episode 3 and 4, there's so much room for there to be stories of Padawans who survived on. We've gotten a lot of them. Even like the old Star Killer from Force Unleashed, but in the new canon, even like Kanan Jarrus from Rebels was even had a comic book called The Last Padawan. Then we get was it Cal Kestis from
Cal Kestis.
Fallen Order, also similar type of thing. And I just think there's so much room to play there with like, yeah, some of them probably survived and are being hunted by Inquisitors or by the Empire. So sorry, Luca, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I also love this episode. I loved the world building of like a brand new culture and planet. I love the feeling of like the Jedi and her master being like from a different planet, almost as if like just observing, like questioning whether they should get involved or not.
Right.
The scene where she takes her mask off and cuts the braid, like super cool. Also, that guy carried his bride a long way. Like this man was walking for hours. He climbed a mountain. Like that was a lot. Just
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, just like the fact that you see these like this like brand new culture, that's I think something that's very, very lacking from the Star Wars films. Essentially to the point where it doesn't even exist. Like we don't learn anything about any cultures at all in this galaxy. It's like my biggest issue with the sequel trilogy is the scale is just pathetic, like just terribly done. I hated that about it. Whereas like that's just a note on this entire show. Every single episode gave you like a nice scale, maybe except for like the duel even was like the only like this is just a small town, and one other episode that comes later we'll talk about, but every other episode gave you like the feeling this is a galactic sort of empire. Cities are gigantic, there's lots of people, there's like you get that feeling which did not exist in 789 at all.
I think though that's the thing is Star Wars is both. It's this wide spanning galaxy, but it's also like when you have something that big, there's going to be little people.
There will be little places. Yes, but like the entire rebel army was 7 ships. Anyway, let's no.
I agree with your point there. Like I too feel like the sequel trilogy sort of, it's just like, hey, remember this old conflict? Here it is. All those other people in the whole galaxy spanning far wide. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. But like, that's what I mean is like, I want to see on an outer rim planet where they don't call the Force because they don't even know that the Jedi exist. Like, I want that. I want to see what Star Wars is like there. Like the Force is still a thing. Lightsabers can still be a thing, but we don't need, like, I want, this is like one of the first ones, I think. And this series does it a lot where like, I don't want to hear about the Force in Star Wars. I want to see it. I don't want to hear about the Jedi. I want to see one. You know what I mean? I think Star Wars has this awful sort of habit of like, remember Luke Skywalker and like remember all these characters you love. Here they are again. I don't want that. I think the great thing about Star Wars is like it opened up the possibility for such storytelling within this universe and this magic system and these types of individuals that it's like I want to see more of them. I don't want to keep going back to the same telling the same galactic Civil War story.
Which is why this was so good. Like, and what do they call it in this one?
Magina,
yeah, that's it.
And like the way they used it was completely different. So that they used it to like be in tune with nature and to like see the memories of the planet and stuff.
Right.
Like it was just a very refreshing take on this very overdone storyline. So I love this episode. I would give this a 9 out of 10. I agree with what Cam said. Like I wish if the fight was just a bit more developed at the end, it would probably jump to like a 9.5 for me, like just like the duel. I score it the same way as you, 9 out of 10.
Definitely 9, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah, great episode.
Speaking of 9s, let's go to the 9th Jedi. Sorry, my last note for that other side is this is Pad Thai, which is an obscure reference I don't expect anyone to get.
I didn't get it.
The 9th Jedi.
By Production IG.
Production IG, thank you, Luca. This was one that again showed up in the trailer, that scene of her jumping off the bike, running across the ice, and then slashing. This is not where I expected that story to come up. And I guess the most interesting thing about this story is the timeline in which it takes place. I guess just to say, we've been saying like some of these stories, the previous ones couldn't ever be canon. Like the twins wouldn't make much sense. They're breathing in space. Fuck that. The Village Bride, though, definitely could be canon. Again, existing in that between 3 and 4. This one to me couldn't be canon, or it being canon brings with it so many questions of like, how does the galaxy end up in this state? Because this takes place in the far future where Jedi and Sith are pretty much extinct. In even kyber crystals are, things of legend until this one person is like, I'm making them, mining them, and I'm making lightsabers. And if anyone knows the Force, they can come and get one. That's sort of the whole premise of the episode. And I thought this
Willy Wonka with lightsabers.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I thought this episode was fucking fantastic. There were some parts of it that it was sort of hard for me. Cam, you know this. One of our friends, Malachi, friend of the show, always wants to run a Star Wars RPG game. And my biggest mental block is like, I don't know if I could, be a part of something that goes against Star Wars canon because it's so ingrained in my head. It would feel wrong. It'd be hard for me to do. So when a story like this comes, and it's like the far future, and like, take all of this in the first 5 seconds of this, accept this and move forward with it. I'm always like, what? Try to figure out how it works in. But once I let that go, I really, really enjoyed this episode. Lots of cool character work. Character design was sick. I can't remember the girl, the main character.
I forget her name now.
Can't remember, but she was awesome. I loved her.
She was really cool.
Yeah, and she's the daughter of the person who's making the lightsabers for this being called the Margrave. But yeah, what did you think about it, Cam?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like a very cool premise. I do have one question, because they make it like a rule in the episode where it's like the color of the blade comes with your connection to the Force. Is that touched on in like any other form of Star Wars media?
Not quite.
No?
So another thing that's sort of interesting about this one is in the Old Republic, which is the prequel era Republic, and for a millennia before that. And then there's the High Republic, which is way before. That's changed. But anyways, the Old Republic, like those Jedi, you would go on a saber quest and like find your own crystal, and it would like call out to you type of thing. And you would go and find it, and then you make your lightsaber yourself, like hands free, like you use the force to assemble it. There's an episode of Clone Wars, I can't remember what it's called, but it's very, very detailed. Even in Fallen Order, you go back to the same planet, Ilum, where they keep those crystals, and I think that planet shows up in a couple other animated series. I think it might be in Rebels. Anyways, in that case, the crystal color calls out to you, and it's based on your connection to the force. So if you're someone who's more inclined to use a lightsaber to solve your problems, your lightsaber color would more likely be blue. If you're someone who goes to the force more, it's going to be green. So we see like Yoda, Qui-Gon, those are green lightsabers, whereas like Anakin and Obi-Wan, blue. And then something like purple is someone who has the ability to control their aggression, but use it in a way that's still on the light side of the force. So that's where we get Mace Windu. Then there's things like yellow and teal, and even white in some cases. Very rarely, a white lightsaber is actually a red lightsaber crystal that's been I don't know what the word would be, but purified, I guess, of the dark side magic in it. So Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars, Rebels, and Clone Wars is all I say for people who may not be caught up on all Star Wars. She has white lightsabers because she got hers from killing an Inquisitor. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, but not in the same way. Like the brightness or the saturation of a lightsaber has never been brought up before. It's just sort of like based off who you are and your connection to the force, a saber would call out to you. So I thought it was super interesting here where like we've totally forgone that personal attachment to a lightsaber. It's just like, take it. I made it for you kind of thing.
I thought that was super dope. And like hers being clear in the beginning where it's like, it's just translucent. I thought that was super sick. And that bike chase was super hype and everything. The one Jedi who's like waiting for the lightsabers, his name was Ethan, and he looked like so much like the main character of Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans a little bit.
Mikazuki?
Maybe. I just know the design. I don't know the character's name, but I was like, ooh, he looks dope. I like his design. Also, what was that dog creature? Like the one who has the purple lightsaber by the end.
Oh yeah. No, that guy was cool. I don't know if we've seen that type of alien in Star Wars before.
Okay.
But also them being like based off proximity to dark side users, going to the dark and like fighting against their allies, I thought was like a really cool lore thing. Which I don't think we've seen before.
That's why this episode felt like a lot like Star Wars, is because I had all these questions going in being like, oh, well, is this like normal to the universe and stuff like that? So I thought it was dope. And like seeing just like the characterization of some of the droids, like with them just like being old men and drinking tea.
Love that.
Was so good. But so I'd probably give this episode like 8.5. I'd say 8.5.
Yeah, I also really like this one. I think I'd keep it at an 8. The animation style was really good. I love the droid personalities, like that one droid that took her on the on the trip when he's just sitting next to like 3 broken down droids. Like, oh, might as well take you, I guess. Like having personalities. I loved that. I thought the reveal was cool that they were all Sith. Like that was a super cool. Like when they're like all their lightsabers turned red, you're like, oh damn. And I also wanted to ask like about the canon of like one person holding one lightsaber turns red, the other person holds it, changes colors, like the same crystal changes colors. I believe that was in this episode.
Right.
Yeah. I'd never seen anything like that. That was super cool. I loved the like as her connection to the Force grew, like the lightsaber saturation color actually like came through all the way.
That's so anime to me.
Yeah, it is like in that like remembering why you're there, and then that's when your power comes, and green lightsaber, awesome. Yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. Great episode.
Yeah, I think I'd score this as well, like 8, maybe 8.5. But also I love the fucking I can't remember what his name, Yarrow, but the Margrave character disguising himself as that droid.
Yeah,
and sort of just like toying with the Sith, like he must have known the whole time. Oh yeah, you're here for this. Yeah. No, yeah, it's gonna be real cool. And then him popping out and just being like this dope like Jedi master. So cool.
Oh, which his lightsaber design was awesome. It had like that halo cross guard around it.
Okay, yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah. Now we'll go into TOB1. So I'm gonna admit, like, I think 3/4 of the way through this, my first watching of this, and this is the one I actually had to watch in English because I couldn't get the English subtitles. Was that the same for you guys?
No, I got it in.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, I had this one as well. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't get the name joke.
Oh, Toby.
No, like no, just being like T Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't until like the professor said it in like one of the not flashbacks, but like
Force moments.
Yeah, where I was like, oh, that's funny. This one gave me huge Astro Boy vibes, which I think they're definitely going for. And I fucking love this episode. It was so cute. The house reminded me of like the Tatooine homestead, but also like Majin Buu's house. I don't know. It's just so cool that which studio did this one, Luca?
It was Science Saru.
Yeah. Wow. Like this looked like Studio Ghibli as well, but like the lighter, fluffy Totoro version of it. And whoever voice acted the English dub of this, it's fucking incredible. They did so well. The old man reminded me of like the king from Zelda. I loved his red nose and the fact that he ended up being a Jedi master, and like I love that in the prequels, like they're sort of, or like in the original trilogy, it's sort of like a Jedi Knight is like a knight, like a paladin type of thing. But in the prequels, we sort of get, and via Clone Wars, we also get like some Jedi are detectives, some Jedi are librarians, some Jedi are scientists. Like why just stop at being, paladins? So I love that this was like, yeah, I'm a scientist. Like, I have a lightsaber and I can use the Force, but like, I want to try to like give life to planets. I thought it was like super cool. And just like his fatherly approach, making all these robots, probably out of just like loneliness and isolation. Again, this one likely took place between episode 3 and 4, because like that dark side character we see is reminiscent of like an Inquisitor. So like tasked with tracking down the surviving Jedi and eliminating them.
He was even called the Inquisitor in the episode.
Oh, was he? Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, definitely that time period. And I absolutely love this episode. It was so cute and so well animated. What'd you think, Cam?
I loved this episode. Like the animation was perfect, and like the connections to Astro Boy as well, with it even being like, oh, he was once like an actual boy, and now he's like, his consciousness is put into this like little robot man because he died pretty much. Like it was perfect, and just like the building up of like him finally like realizing that, of like having that Force vision with like his master and everything, was just it was perfect.
I straight up didn't pick up on that.
Wait, was he a consciousness, like a living? I thought he was always imagining himself as a Jedi. Like
that's how I saw it too. Yeah.
See, I got it because like in the vision, like his master was just calling him straight up Toby and everything. And
but he only called him Toby in the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from though. That's like in his flash, like if they weren't visions and they were more so like flashbacks, it was like Toby, do this, Toby, do that. So it's like he died and his master brought him back to life type of thing as a robot.
And then like, when he like turned around, he like saw himself as the young like Padawan and everything, and like him saying like I am a Jedi was I thought
that's super cool.
I'm going to rewatch this episode. I didn't pick up on that at all.
Maybe I just read into it wrong, and I'm like adding more things that
but initially I saw it the same way as you, Luca, that he was just like imagining himself, and then he gets the kyber crystal from inside himself. Like it's that anime, it was in you the whole time, you know? But also I was like, wow, the implications that come with that, like the kyber crystals making life or being the power source of something that has a consciousness. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
I thought his master, I thought like the scientist guy showed him a kyber crystal from the start.
He gives him an empty lightsaber.
Right.
And then it's not until the Inquisitor shows up that he like a hole in his chest opens up, and then the kyber crystal like comes out.
Oh, I need to rewatch this episode. Like,
I didn't catch it the first time I watched it either. I was like, so the kyber crystal was just in the grave? That's kind of weird. Like, where was it before? I don't get it. But then, I think it comes out of his chest. So I was like, oh, whoa, that's really wild.
Yeah, I love this episode too. Animation style, adorable. When you hear him, like when he calls down the Inquisitor the first time, and the like his master like puts him in that whole I got choked up a bit, I'm not gonna lie. Like that was sad. And then I loved like when you see what his dream was to like bring life to a dead planet. Like that was just so cool. And then like him carrying on that legacy, and like the Force vision, like see that conversation he had when he called him Toby at the end. I read that as like he's now tapped into the Force for the first time, and like his master being like having been a Jedi master, just like Obi-Wan after he dies, like his soul is still within the Force, so he can like communicate with him. That's how I read that. Where that was like an in the moment, like because the reason I felt like that was because the background when they were talking looked like almost like raindrops that had frozen in time. So I felt like it was like a conversation in that moment, like as he was like losing the fight, and then like in that exact moment, like time was essentially stopped for him, and he spoke to his master, and he like told him that he's ready and all that. And, like that was just such a touching moment. And then like him continuing his creator's dream to bring life to dead planets, like such a great noble cause for a Jedi. Like he's my favorite Jedi now. Like he's just Toby one.
Yeah, and it's a character I think could fit into. I also love like he's like CO3, like let's go with anime fucking transformation. Like,
cool. That was awesome.
But yeah, I think like this could be a character that just shows up somewhere in canon, just like what do you want to go over there? It's a desolate planet. There hasn't been life on that moon in years, and then it's like, wait, we got weird traces of life. There's just like this like little boy robot. He's like 3,000 years old or something. And it's just like, this is what I do. The creator told me to do it.
The concept of a robot Jedi, like an AI droid, like being a Jedi is just like such a cool idea that it's just, I don't know of it ever being mentioned in Star Wars. Like General Grievous isn't a Jedi, for example. Like,
well, he's not a Jedi, but he's also not a droid. He's like an android. He's partially, he was human, and then his body was destroyed.
Yeah. But like he doesn't use the Force, for example. That's what I mean. Like he doesn't like he's a mechanical life form that uses lightsabers.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I was trained to use lightsabers, and like just spins them super fast. Like I thought that was hilarious.
I've been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
Force spinning sabers super fast, like cool training, man.
Yeah, so true, actually. So
I would give this also an 8.5. Great episode.
This one gets a 9 from me for the sole reason that this is the one I feel like I could show to anyone and be like, this is probably why you should watch this series.
Okay.
Just like, even like I showed this one to my girlfriend, and it was the one that she was like actually paying attention to because it was like super fucking cute. And like, I just think, even kids would appreciate the whimsical feel of this one.
Great episode.
Cam, did you say how you would score this one?
9.5.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Love it. I also love that we had different interpretations of it.
Yep.
Again, certain point of view. That's Star Wars. We'll move over into The Elder. This is the one from the trailer that I was most like intrigued by, because the antagonist or the villain in this episode I thought was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's go there. That guy, again, Afro Samurai vibes, all the creepy characters in that show. This guy very much reminded me. What studio did this one?
Trigger.
Yeah,
Okay.
This was like one that felt like a Trigger one. I was like, yes, this is.
I am so shocked that the same people were responsible for this as the Twins one. That
right.
Well, good for them. They have range. First off, the sound of the Force when he senses the dark side Force user, I was like, yes. Don't fucking tell me the Force is happening. You gotta show me. I gotta hear it. It's if we don't have John Williams' score telling us the Force is happening, give me a fucking deep vibration. I loved it. Everything about this episode, the apprentice being too ambitious, the master being sort of secretive and like, yeah, I know the Outer Rim, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just loved everything about this. That feeling of like, it felt very much like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like their sort of rapport, which I love. I just thought of something random. Going back to the duel, there's actually a comic book, Obi-Wan and Anakin, that is canon. And in the first issue, they go to this far-flung planet that hasn't had contact with the Senate in like 1,000 years. And they keep hearing legend of like this Jedi who like saved everybody and like he's a national hero or whatever. And then when they finally get like a hologram of the tape, like they see this Jedi who's like a hero there, like with a red lightsaber. It's all like, just again, a matter of perspective type of thing. Just all that. But anyways, going back to this episode, I thought it was super cool. The reference to like there being an ancient temple somewhere in the mountains that we don't get to see. Seeing this guy's ship and it, looking like a Sith vessel. I thought that was super cool. This villain scared the fuck out of me. Like when he like sits up and cracks every bone in his body and then like spider like with the lightsabers. Loved it. That's a Star Wars villain. I think too often Star Wars villains are redeemable characters that we have to see the humanity of. I like that this was like a human dude who appeared like a demonic force, like just the inversion of that. It was super awesome. I loved the character design, seeing Black people in Star Wars, which there always have been. I just want to say that to anyone who's watching this who's not gotten the message yet. Because that was the thing when Force Awakens came out, people being mad that Finn was Black. Like, when have Black people not been in Star Wars? I did a whole Twitter thread about this once.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of actors of color in Star Wars, so shut the fuck up with that nonsense. But yeah, to see this on screen in an anime format was like, yes, I love that. He got murked though, but he stood his ground. And then the master, the way this fight ends, again, that's samurai shit I want to see in Star Wars, where it's not like I have the most power in an anime fashion. It's like I'm more composed than you are, and I'm more righteous than you are, so I will win because you're letting your emotions get the best of you. And he like the fucking something I don't think we've seen enough in Star Wars, like the deactivating the lightsaber to maneuver. Super dope. We see it, I guess, in episode 9 with Rey and Kylo Ren, that fight where she grabs and then ignites. But yeah, super dope. Cam, what were your thoughts?
I loved the character designs in this episode. I kind of got like a little lost of the plot a little bit sometimes, because I was like, oh, okay, like he's making friends with the kids. I also just think, my brain was scrambled when I was watching it. But yeah, I enjoyed just like the insanity of like this old creepy tiny man with like dagger lightsaber blades just like coming at them like insanely fast. And just seeing like that final move of just like the holding the lightsaber to his chest and just igniting it, I was like, ooh, that was cold. Like I loved it. But yeah,
that was definitely one of the best fight scenes that I've seen in Star Wars. I also love, I have to mention, in this entire series, there's a lot of unique lightsaber fighting styles, which we don't often see in the Star Wars movies. Like the way the Elder fought was like super terrifying. Like they're always coming with the jabs, and it just felt very off-putting and terrifying. Like just his movements were all super disgusting. And I loved, like, the master character was maybe my favorite character in this entire series aside from the Ronin, because he was essentially how I picture like a Jedi master. Extremely humble, doesn't let out, like doesn't, like he's teaching his disciple without being like overbearing in any way, still giving him his freedom. Like he let him go into the mountains when he suggested it, came to save him, won the fight, and then even afterwards he was like, if I had faced this like evil in his prime, I might have lost.
Right.
That was dope.
I loved that. The fight was super cool when he disarms him and the Elder's like eyes go wide and like you see like the anger. Like that was just an awesome moment. Yeah, great episode. What I didn't understand though was like once the Elder had died and he like ignited his ship, I thought something like different was gonna happen. I thought like something would happen when he pressed that button, but I guess he just wanted like destroyed a ship to like not leave any evidence or something.
Yeah. But to me, that's the most interesting part, because this episode, if it was canon, would take place before episode 1. So between the High Republic and Old Republic timeline type of thing. So the Sith are gone, as far as anyone knows. But so in Star Wars Rebels, we sort of get information on how the Sith went missing. And then in old Star Wars canon, there's, Darth Bane and stuff who created the rule of 2. So the Sith could become, at the time where Palpatine ends up, to be that powerful, while staying undercover from the Jedi, because they couldn't face them in open war. So in Star Wars Rebels, there's this planet they go to called Morabon. It's supposed to be like the home of the Sith. And there's this super weapon on there, not unlike the Death Star, but it's not a beam cannon. It's like a bomb. And when we show up to the planet, it's just this battle of all these sort of like Pompeii-esque ash bodies of Jedi versus Sith. And so the implication is that I think it was Darth, I think her name starts with a T, red and black or not tiefling, Twi'lek. That's a different lore. She sort of is responsible for eliminating all the Sith and then going on to form the rule of 2 with Darth Bane. So I think that was the sort of implication in Rebels. So this was interesting to me in that this person was like, I'm not affiliated with those clowns type of thing. The Sith tore themselves apart, which again, if there was the Jedi purge, with Order 66, and there were survivors of that, who have either turned their backs from the Jedi or still wanting to become Jedi, I think the Sith could have just the same, right? Mm-hmm. There could be survivors of the Sith purge who are like, yeah, I'm not affiliated with them. And there's a lot of cannibalizing within the Sith. Like if there's more than 2 of us, that's a problem, because we might get discovered. So I like that this person was sort of like, I don't even know, just like very against the Sith, but like still, had a hate or distaste for Jedi, maybe as if like they blame the Jedi for what happened to the Sith type of thing, which is fair. So I love that. And then at the end, he doesn't like sell out the Sith that he may know of. He blows up his ship. He disintegrates his body to like hide his trail, basically, which I think could make it canon, because by the time of episode 1, there is no information on the Sith. And so the discovery of Darth Maul is sort of like a big deal, because it's the first actual proof they have that a Sith is living in like 1,000 years, I think. So I love that it fit in canon. That's obviously a plus for me. And just like how weird this character was, but still like morally honorable or loyal, I guess, to the Sith cause, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, totally. But honestly, I got the feeling from him that he was like more evil than the Sith, like, because everything that I've heard about like the philosophy of the Sith is more about sort of embracing your emotions and living your emotions freely,
Mhm.
which obviously once taken to extremes is bad, but in terms of just a philosophy is not inherently evil,
Right.
whereas he felt very much evil for the sake of evil, just like power to dominate. Like, why was he even on the planet? Like, he was hunting those, I forgot what the creatures were called, like he killed one, that's what the apprentice found.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, was he looking for that temple that was mentioned? Like, we don't know. Like, his motivation seems just very aggressive and destructive, which was, again, like you said, a nice change for a Star Wars villain. And super, like, the black eye, like the whites of his eyes being completely black, super creepy. Great villain.
Yeah, I think you're right in that he was more evil than the Sith, but I think that is a result of things going poorly with the Sith, where he was just like, fuck it then. I'm like a lone wolf and I'm just gonna rely completely on my emotions, which are all anger and fucking things up. But yeah, again, I don't think it's often we get a villain that has that, or at least the implication of that sort of complexity.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys score this one?
I would like to give this one probably like a 9 out of 5. I think I can't remember which one of you guys said. Oh, sorry, out of 10. It's really good. I can't remember which one of you said like the plot was a little bit confusing. Just like not so much confusing, but sort of just like vague. Like it just felt like a setup to get to the action part of it, which was really cool and felt earned. But like I wish there was a little bit more on like why the teacher was so secretive about knowing the Outer Rim and all that. I thought it was going to be like the elder shows up and he goes, "Oh, my apprentice," and then the master's like, "I'm not that way anymore," type of thing. I thought that's what's going to happen, and then it didn't go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably score this one 8.5. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm struggling to remember some of it, but of what I do remember, I really enjoyed. I definitely thought at one point like they were just gonna have like a full on just like slice scene when the apprentice got cut. I was like,
oh yeah, I thought he got cut in half.
I was like, what? But I'm very happy that didn't happen because he was a great character.
I don't get why it didn't happen though. That was a little bit like, I thought that was maybe not a cop out, but like I think that elder would have just cut him in half.
Yeah. I thought the same thing was about to happen, but then there is a moment where you see he's still alive and then he does something to influence the end of the fight.
Yeah, he throws his lightsaber at the elder, and like that's the moment where his master disarms the elder. I think like that distraction leads to that distraction leads to the like disconnecting the lightsaber to kill him.
Right.
But yeah, I think that moment, like I didn't want it to happen, but I think that was a bit of a cop out, like not killing the apprentice right there, like because he was like just setting him up, being like him looking for excitement and for a fight, and then like he gets way more than he can handle. And I think it would have made it a better episode if he had died, just because it would have hit way harder. But I'm glad
I agree. I was expecting to, though, like you see that scene where he's alive and the elder's sort of just like standing or sitting behind him. I thought he was going to just like ignite his lightsabers into him so the master could watch, so he could try to like make him angry and bring out more sort of dark side energy out of him. But I agree. I think that was a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, I think it was probably, this is me with a writer brain kind of going on, being like, because he sensed the master. So I think he probably was kind of toying with the apprentice, like to try and like get the bigger bad,
the bigger fish,
kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that's kind of, at least that's where I would have went with.
Yeah, like, sort of like I think he would have kept him alive until the master showed up, and then been like killed him. Just exactly. Like, why not get 2 for the price of 1 type of thing?
Definitely.
Either way, though, still terrifying villain. So we'll move now into Lop and Ocho. Again, this is the one I was probably the most excited for, just based off the animation style. Who did this one, Luca?
Geno Studio.
Well, for Geo Studio, because holy fuck, this one was pretty. Oh my goodness. Like this fucking little rabbit character. I was like, there's no reason this should be so cute. Like so awesome. I loved every second of this episode. This is definitely my favorite. I'll just say that now. Again, had similar samurai sort of vibes when we get to the reveal. And again, don't just tell me the Force is happening. I don't need a rumble all the time. I don't need the John Williams score all the time. And this time was completely different. It was like, this is the Force. Like, look at it. Like, it's moving. Like, it was so cool. I also love the design of the lightsaber being like a katana in its as it emits, opposed to like the round cylindrical one we're used to. Like, fucking just so cool. The cherry blossom tree in Imperial base, just so beautiful. I loved all the character designs in this. I love the fucking stupid anime thing they do in anime where the character just bites their thumb. Like, that's humanly possible.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone's ever done that?
Just draw blood. And that was super
to
cool.
make the eyeliner. Oh, dope.
So
Dope.
like, could you imagine if you're standing there like, hey, don't go with that guy. That guy sucks. What? What are you doing? Even the music in this episode with like the pan flutes and shit, so good. Aesthetically, I love this episode. Content wise, loved it. The family aspects, super cool. It was just beautiful. Here's a cool piece of information. There was a Marvel comic of Star Wars, I think in the 80s or 90s, with this stupid green rabbit character named Jackson, Jaxxon. And he was a race called a Lepi, and it's been confirmed that this is the same race. So love that. Little throwback. I love those little Star Wars throwbacks. Going back to the holiday special or like these much maligned Marvel comic run. I liked how they were in prison, like the Wookiees. That was so awesome. Love this episode. Kat, how'd you feel?
No, this was a fantastic episode. This one, see, I feel like I know that I started this off by saying this is like the one that felt the most like Star Wars, but like I think it also didn't at the same time. Like, it felt like a whole new world, just like with like the architecture and everything, like of the city that they were in, and like the etching on like the lightsaber with like the words. I was like, that's so cool. Why has no one done this before? And like seeing like this adoptive daughter who's like felt like an outsider kind of her entire life being like accepted as like the carrier of this like family heirloom, like was so heartwarming. And like that one was like, that hit me in the feels, being like, this is so good. And just like the fight with Ocho was just this was.
And Ocho looks sick too.
Oh my god,
like in her little Imperial getup, so sick.
It was
actually I agree. This didn't feel like pure Star Wars to me also, especially like mostly because of the Star Wars theme, like the Star Wars related themes, like the lightsaber, the Force. It all felt like a new take on it, like the passing down of the lightsaber through that ritual. It almost felt like the only way for Ocho to get that saber back would be like to go through that ritual. Like, she had to kill Lop to get it. Like, that's how it felt. Like, that was like such like a deep like passing of the torch. And like the family dynamics. I think this one had the best character development of all the episodes. We got the most insight into the characters, and they developed the most in the shortest amount of time. And it was done, although it was quick, it didn't feel rushed. Like when they found her, when she was still like, when she had just escaped like the slave camps or whatever it was, like accepting her, taking like the chains off, and then her like slowly, like I guess we do a time jump, and she's like in the family, and like we see like how they developed, and it's like Lop has become like the daughter almost, whereas Ocho is like I love that also, the aspect of accepting imperial rule for like the development of like
Yeah.
jobs and stuff. Like it felt very real, like a very real world thing that we actually have in real life, where people accept the atrocities that we had that happen in the world for the sake of development. But like a very real plot point. And then Lop being the inheritor of it, I loved it. I loved it. This would be my second favorite episode for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you say, that, you know, the Empire sort of trying to annex this planet, and them being the only thing that's stopping them, type of thing. Love that aspect of it as well. The one thing that I know it's an anime, but the one thing that I was like, nope, wouldn't work, is that the one Imperial officer that gets Ocho to join the Empire has like this very like wild haircut. He's got like streaks in it and like the side cut. Like, that is not regulation. They would not allow that. No.
But his character design was so good.
It was so good. Yeah.
That's not Imperial regulation.
Wouldn't fly. Would not fly.
Also, speaking of that character, though, he had green tipped ears. And I don't know if that was an intentional nod to True Detective season 1, but in True Detective season 1, I don't know if you guys have seen it. Neither of you. Okay, so it's a. Do you know what it's about? It's an FBI show. Essentially, the villain of it, like, he is described by one of his victims as having green tipped ears. And he is just like pure evil. I thought that was like, I don't know if that was an intentional nod to that, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that guy's green tipped ears. And I remembered that. I don't know if that was important or not, but it might have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if that's part of like a specific Star Wars race, or if it was like, you know, some sort of Easter egg type of thing like that. That's cool though. I didn't know that. Yeah, I also loved that there was like a legend of the Jedi in this one. It wasn't like you're a Jedi like your father before you. It was like a long, long time ago, a Jedi came here. It gave us this. Yeah. It sort of reminded me of the first episode with the Ronin, like giving the Kyber crystal. Like it felt like, you know, 100 years later, this might be like a similar sort of story that would come as a result of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. Also, like, it had really like that 90s style animation, like Akira and like even like the Spider-Man Unlimited series, just like makes the city feel like so big and like cyberpunk synthwave type of thing.
Yeah.
Love
like,
it.
Yeah, that the city felt alive, which I really liked. Which
and it felt massive and lived in. Like it felt like a sci-fi city.
Absolutely. It wasn't just like Coruscant. It's here.
Yeah. The whole city's a planet, but you only see one place.
Yeah.
Two, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, going back to what you were saying earlier, Luca, about Star Wars, the scale often being an issue. It's like there should be, you could do every single story imaginable all on Coruscant. It's all one fucking city. Like that, like endless storytelling opportunities, and yet we never really get to see what that's like. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the last episode, Akakiri. I love this episode as well. Oh wait, did we score Lop
we did
and Ocho?
not score Lop.
Okay.
Oh no, we didn't.
10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yep.
10, yeah.
I'm a 9.5.
Okay. I still think that's the overall still highest for us, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Cool.
I rank the duel the same.
Okay.
9.5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like to me, the duel edges this out as my favorite just because I love the Ronin character so much, and that vibe of character like just hits home so hard for me. Like I love those kinds of characters, so that just wins it for me.
Yeah, that one felt more mature as a character, whereas this is more like, this one felt more anime in that shonen type of way.
It did, but it had mature themes, you know, like
absolutely.
It just delivered in a bit more of a child-friendly manner, maybe, but
yeah,
fantastic.
Oh, this is one too where I'm like, but what's next?
Yeah, yeah, because Ocho survives the fight and leaves.
Exactly. Yeah.
It literally felt like an episode 1. Like maybe not an episode 1, but it felt like the ending felt like the end of a first season.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
They were like the like if we had the time to play a whole season out, it would be like, you know, there'd be her escaping the
Naruto.
slave. And then she leaves the village. Loved it. And just the visual, like the X across her chest, like that coming up, like she wears a suit with that same X type. Oh, I just
seeing the vibra blades as well, like all the cool designs for those, sick.
So cool. Yeah, okay. And then the last episode, Akakiri. This one was really cool. I really like the animation style, although it was very jarring in that like this is a cartoon type of way. But I still thought it was like super like endearing. I fucking love those two dudes.
Yeah,
Reminded
dude.
me of the guys from Avatar, like the secret
Mhm.
tunnel
Yeah.
singers. And this one, like I might actually go back and watch this in English to see what the translation of the song, because
It
I
was
fucking
great.
love the song.
This one was the only episode that I watched in English just because I had
Okay.
it playing in the
Okay.
background while I
Yeah.
was getting ready for this.
Oh, nice. Yeah, but the song just like, and he's like, "Shut up!" They're like, "No, if you're coming with us, we're doing it our way." And they keep saying it. It's so fucking funny. Um, yeah, and then obviously like that he shows up alone, so there's the implication he's going against what the Jedi would have requested of him. Um, I think there's the flashback where his master says, "If you go, you'll never come back because you'll be tempted there and you won't be able to survive the temptation." And I thought at the end it was going to be like, no, but that's exactly what happens. And I felt like the prequel trilogy, although it has a very special place in my heart, I can see where things were rushed or not executed the way they should have been. This was like a perfect execution of the dilemma Anakin was facing, right? This forbidden love, this attachment, then the loss, and then what that does to somebody, right? And in this case, like there was all of that. And then after the loss, it's like, yeah, I can help you bring her back, but then you're coming with me, which is essentially what Palpatine did without fulfilling the promise of bringing her back. So again, this is another one where I'd like, oh man, I want to see what happens next, because I want to see like this woman's journey of like trying to, go and get him back after like saving her life and stuff. The villain in this also super cool, super terrifying.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely fit like a type of anime character that's often reoccurring, like this big ox-like woman.
Yeah.
I love that character. And she was like the aunt of this woman he was traveling with.
Yep.
Absolutely love this episode. Super cool, very brief. It felt like one of the shorter episodes.
I think this one was the shortest. Yeah. I think it
Was it?
I think it was the 13 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe?
it was like 13ish. Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt brief, but I think they covered so much ground with again, going back to episode 3, Yoda's whole attachment will lead to fear, which leads to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. That whole thing plays out in like the course of this 14-minute episode, and like we don't even really get that in the whole prequel trilogy. Seeing that like it's not hammered home as much maybe as it should have been to really justify the actions of the characters. For me, I don't have any problems with it, but like this just felt like like it was very concise, and I liked it for that.
It was a great self-fulfilling prophecy. Like
Yeah.
It was honestly, you're right. It was Anakin's story told almost more concisely, like more to the point of what his story is. Like it literally started the same. He had the nightmare of people dying by saber, like he kept seeing it again and again, and he sees it like 3 times in the episode. His master warning him that he shouldn't be the one to go because he will meet temptation there. He still goes. He wants to avoid that fate. That exact fate happens. He's put in a position where he knows he has no choice but to fall to temptation. And it's almost like it subverted your expectations by doing exactly what it told you it was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not the biggest fan of the animation style. I didn't hate it, but I don't like the profiles being very skinny. Like when you see them from the side, their faces are very flat.
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of animation style. So I didn't really like the main character, like the Jedi character, that much because I didn't like how he looked, which is, you shouldn't judge people how they look, but I did, and I didn't like
Yeah, no, I think it's fair, like the animation style not being your favorite. For me, it was like that scene where he gets like the headache thing the first time, and then when the dark side force user does it to him, like just like this animation being able to like make one of his eyes big and the other one like small, just like the contortion. Like I feel like you can't really do that with an anime style that's more rigid. This one felt very loose in that way, so it made for some cool visuals. Cam, what were your feelings?
Yeah, the animation was definitely like kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. Like 100%, I felt the Avatar vibes with the guys
Yeah.
leading them through. Yeah, I'm a sucker for like going against like a predestined thing. So I was like looking forward to that. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be sick. And then yeah, exactly like you said, Luca just subverted expectations by being like, no, it's happening. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Just like, and yeah, seeing like that like the animation, like that wide shot of when the dark side user is like manipulating him and like seeing like the people getting up and like moving like almost against their will was super cool. Yeah, that's like the scene that plays in my head over and over when I think of this episode.
Yeah. And also like that dramatic irony of like we see the woman stumbling towards him like against her will. And it's like, no, no, no. Ah!
Yeah.
And then you see how
Man.
it blends into the scene from his nightmares, right? And it's just like, oh no, buddy.
Yeah.
Again, that feeling that like, don't go, don't do it is sort of like the same as when Anakin's staring at the Jedi Temple, or the Senate building rather, when Mace Windu and those three other Jedi go to confront Palpatine. You're like, man, don't go, don't go. And he goes every time, and it's like, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a fun episode, but also, yeah, a heartbreaking one.
Yeah.
I think though that the animation style took a bit away from the impact of the ending for me. Like the animation style worked excellent for those two guys when they were singing and joking. Like it worked perfectly there. But when it was like it was just a bit too cartoony for me to be like taken super seriously.
Yeah.
Especially like the villain. I mean, she was like, she got bigger in the end. Like she literally like grew, it seemed like through the scenes.
Yeah. There's forget what I was gonna say now. But
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I just fucking love the song. I don't know why I'm a sucker for that type of character of like sort of aloof fucking like wanderer who wants to sing.
Yeah, like
that always gets me.
Doesn't have any like skill set other than like their singing and their navigation essentially. But they're like so crucial to the mission. Like you cannot go without them.
Very bard like. He's like you don't have to like me, but you need me. So
dude, and the scene where he thinks that the guy died, like that was my
sad,
that was my favorite scene where he was like, we can't go back. Like it was his fate to die. Like the gods wanted him dead, and then like when they reunite and they hug you, like yes,
yeah,
made it.
I love that scene. That was super cool too. What was it? It was like they diverted to the path that they shouldn't have gone.
Yeah, it was like they got to the path where that was blocked, and then like the Jedi found the path up, and he was like, no, like that's the gods live there. I think he says something along those lines, and he's like, anybody that goes up there like is not seen from again. And then like we don't even see why the dude disappeared, and it's like we just cut to like the princess and the one guy being at the palace, and then like we just cut to the guy singing on his own, like drinking sake, and then he hears like the other side of the song.
Red cheeks. It's that sort of reminds me of like the Dead Marshes in Lord of the Rings. And then also just like those dark side force places, like the cave on Dagobah, and then the whole thing in Last Jedi being like these places where like don't go there, it's bad there. And you'll see things you don't want to see. I think it's probably like alluding to something like that, which needed the Jedi to sort of pull them out of there type of thing. Yeah, cool.
We should rate this one too.
Oh yes, yeah. I would probably give this one like an 8.5.
Yeah, I'd say 7.5 for me. Yeah.
I'd agree with the 7.5. I think it's the animation style that took it away from me at the end, that pushed it from like an 8 to a 7.5. But story-wise, great. Like I love the whole like he sees a part of it, but it's like the frog at the bottom of the well type situation where like he thinks he can like he thinks he's in control, but like nah, you like from day one you were not like in control of this.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
I would definitely recommend it. Again, there are like I almost wish instead of 9 random episodes, it was like 3 episodes of Lop and Ocho and 3 episodes of The Elder, or 3 episodes of The Duel. But I actually am glad we got 9 episodes that feel different enough from each other that I'm intrigued in all of them.
Yeah.
And Disney's essentially writing blank checks now. So
yeah,
there is a world where it's possible we see, subsequent entries to these stories, which I would obviously be down for. Yeah, but I want to ask you guys, if you could only pick one of these shows to continue, which one would you pick?
It would have to be Lop and Ocho for me.
Honestly, I think so too. For me, Lop and Ocho.
Wow.
I think I want the continuation. Like I love the duel and I'd love to see the Ronin further, but I think the charm of it is that it's like we know nothing about him. Like everything you know about him is like the little details you can pick up in that in those interactions. Obviously, I'd love a sequel to it, but for me, like the story that was the most developed and the characters were most invested in was definitely Lop and Ocho.
Yeah, I agree. I had a tough time picking between Lop and Ocho, the duel, and the Ninth Jedi. Those were the ones where it's like, I want to see what happens next. There was a lot of them where I felt that way, even with Tatooine Rhapsody. Lop and Ocho is like the easiest answer for me because we are getting the Ronin book, which I will be reading.
Yes.
So it's like, I kind of get that itch scratched a little bit too. So yeah, if I could throw it out and manifest it into the universe, make a Lop and Ocho show because I want to see it. But yeah, that'll do it for us here. Cam, thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Do you read books, Cam?
I read books sometimes.
Yeah, good. We'll have to get you on an episode of Rumination so you can complete the Lord's lore experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Cam, for coming on the show. People will put your social media down below, and you can always catch Cam here once a month running our game of Lords of Lore Adventures. Welcome to Rindle. Remember, you can catch this show where we talk about something nerdy in sci-fi or fantasy every Tuesday, and on Fridays you can catch again either the D&D show we do, a book review, or interview with someone talking about something nerdy they love. As always, I'm Matt.
I'm Luca.
And I'm Cam.
And we are the Lords of Lore.